welcome to the Badass Breastfeeding Podcast. This is Dianne, your lactation consultant.
And I'm Abby, the Badass Breastfeeder, and today's episode is brought to you by Ceres Chill, a company that never stops making the lives of breastfeeding parents easier. Tons of expensive landfill plastic and short-term products are so yesterday. And we will hear more from our sponsor later, but you can head to badassbreastfeedingpodcast.com and check out our sponsor page. If you ever need anything, see if you can give any of them your business because they make this podcast possible. And while you're there, scroll down and enter your email address, and we will send episodes straight to your inbox every week. And, oh my God, I just got distracted because I was like, wait, did I send the episode out this week?
I don't know. Our ongoing giveaway.
Yes, of course. Our ongoing giveaway. Whatever. Yes, we're still hosting our ongoing giveaway for people who leave reviews around the internet, and you can leave written reviews on iTunes or wherever you are listening from, stars if you're able to. Take a screenshot and send it to badassbreastfeedingpodcast@gmail.com, and we will send you a goodie bag of stickers and thank you for nursing and public cards. Address, please, as well. And we're on Patreon. Please check the top link under the show notes, in the show notes, under this episode, wherever you're listening from. If you click, see more or whatever, you'll go down and you'll see all the information. The top link will be Patreon. It'll show you all the different options for our tiers and all of our original extra content that we have going on over there, as well as our Zoom Hangouts, which we would love to have you for, because we're always just hanging out and sharing and seeking advice and venting, whatever it is. And now Dianne has our review of the week.
Yes. And it says, I love the hosts and this podcast. They are very helpful and keep it real with all the breastfeeding tips and advice. Highly recommend for postpartum mamas. Thank you so much for this. We love you too. And we are really glad you're listening. And I'm glad you're finding the tips and things that we talk about helpful, because that's what we aim to do. We aim to be helpful.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of useless if we're not.
Yeah. That's
and you
true.
can let us know if you have any episode ideas. Let us know, because that's where we get most of our content ideas from anyway.
Yeah. If there's something that you think you want to hear us talk about, then definitely let us know. Send us an email at badassbreastfeedingpodcast@gmail.com. And we will absolutely, if we don't already have the episode, we'll do one on it.
Yeah, there's sometimes people are like, oh, do you have an episode on this? And I'm like, yeah, we have one from a few months ago. And then they're like, oh my God, how did I miss that? So there's just so many episodes when they come up every week. It's like hard to just see everything. You scroll back through 400 episodes. Who wants to do that?
I
know. Today we have an exciting episode where we're talking with Andrea from Radical Moms Union. And she's going to tell us. Yeah, she's going to tell us all the badass stuff that she does. And it's the first time Dianne and I have done an interview together too.
Yeah, it was fun. And
I was never sure how it would go, but it went well.
So definitely take a listen, and hopefully you guys will get involved in what she's doing.
Yes. Wait. Yes, please listen, because there are some action steps at the end that are very super cool and easy. So let's get right to it. Hi, Andrea. Welcome to the Badass Breastfeeding Podcast. We're so excited to have you here, and thank you for taking time to talk to us.
Thank you so much. I have followed you, Abby, since I had my daughter, and she's 8, so I'm super excited.
That's
awesome.
Amazing. That's so great. Congratulations on your 8-year-old.
Yeah, yours was, I think, the first breastfeeding Facebook page, social media I've ever found.
Oh, wow. That's cool. Well, thank you for following. And you have gone on to big, badass things yourself. Tell us about you and how you've gotten here.
I'm Andrea, and I'm a mom of 2 in upstate New York. And I used to be a teacher, actually. And when I quit teaching to stay at home with my kids, I loved breastfeeding my daughter. I was just like obsessed with it. And I wanted to be like the one that all my friends came to ask about breastfeeding. And I ended up starting to go into the Leche League meetings and become a leader shortly before I had my second baby. And, I also wanted to pursue, more of the, being a lactation consultant side. So I did, just your basic LC training. And also, while I was doing that, I started Instinctual Mothering, which is my Instagram page. And that kind of came from me wanting to inspire mothers to follow their instincts, because when I was a first-time mom, I had a really hard time just like trying to follow the rules and like do everything right and, Google everything and what's the right thing to do. And the doctors are telling you this and your friends are telling you, just so many. So that's why I started Instinctual Mothering. And so, yeah, I've had that platform helping moms breastfeed. And, the whole Radical Moms Union thing came about when my co-founder, Natasha, who was a writer, wanted to start a blog. And for Radical Moms Union, we cover topics that have to do with like the intersection of, social media, motherhood, and different forces that try to get in the way of mother-baby dyad and instinctual mothering practices. So that's kind of like my whole business in a nutshell. It's been about 3 years since I started the account. And yeah, I really enjoy it. So thanks for having me on.
Yeah. And thanks for starting that. And so with that work, what have you seen? What are the things that are trying to create that separation between parent and baby?
For me, one of the big things was sleep training industry, sleep training tropes and stuff. Because right away, when my daughter, even when she was first born, it was always like trying to get her on a schedule and trying to get her independent and nursing to sleep being a bad thing and trying to get her to sleep in the crib and, co-sleeping is bad and all that. And it was really harmful to me. I feel like I wasted her entire postpartum. That's time I'm never going to get back with my first baby. Like I'm so jealous of moms having their first baby and like all you can do is just sit. Like all you have to do is sit there. Like you don't have to take care of any other kids. You can just enjoy your baby. But I didn't do that because I was obsessed with the rhetoric around getting her to be independent. So that's a big thing.
Yeah, I think that there is such an obsession in this culture with independence. And I think it's funny because as a person who has studied psychology and worked in the mental health field, there's no such thing as independence. I mean, look outside. All you see are people. We're like social creatures. We are literally wired and designed to be together and rely on each other. Like it doesn't even make any sense. It's not even a goal.
Well, it's kind of like it's right when they come out too. It's like, no, put them down, swaddle them. And so that's where all the other sort of corporate things come in, like the baby products, like, that'll rock your baby, like the snoo and the swaddles and the pet, like everything is designed to replace the mother. So yeah, we tackle a lot of those issues on the blog, and it's definitely a hard conversation because then you get the piece where, obviously like moms are not supported in our society like they should be. So, the shaming conversation comes in, whereas like some moms don't have any choice but to use these products or to do these things. But we don't want it to be like moms against moms. We want it to be like moms against corporate interests.
Well, and that's sort of like the basis of it all, right? I mean, like we have this like very corporate, financial, capitalist focused culture that doesn't want parents to feel supported, because that would close the market on all of these products. I mean, like, it's not in anyone, in the financial world, it's not in anyone's best interest to, tackle maternity leave or support breastfeeding or educate about safe bed sharing, or like, that's not their end game. I mean, like, they're very much benefiting from, they're creating this situation where parents don't have support, and then they reap the benefits.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that moms, are kind of like seduced by this stuff. Like I was too. So like that's why
me too.
That's why I created my account, to just kind of like steer moms away from that. And I love to catch moms like in the beginning before they have any babies, so like they can like not be in the situation where I was, where I felt like I wasted time. So as far as like the different things, so we really feel like formula marketing plays a role, and they kind of latch on, no pun intended, to all the other rhetoric that is used as far as separating moms and babies. So I started to kind of look into different like formula predatory practices, and it definitely fits in line with all those other sort of separation based things we see, like sleep training and different baby gadgets and stuff. And so I started to kind of delve into that and bring awareness to the different trends of formula marketing that we see. And, I was listening to one of your guys' podcasts where you talked about like myths and stuff. And I feel like the old school way of marketing formula was talking about how like, oh, it will help with colic, it will help with crying, and it'll make your baby sleep longer. And like they put that sort of stuff on the cans and everything. These old school companies, it's always been kind of trying to sell sleep, try to sell fixing problems that have zero evidence that's, there's zero evidence that say like formula is going to fix colic or fussiness. And it's sort of evolved now where we have social media, where formula companies are using social media to get in the motherhood space that we're all in and kind of disguise themselves as like just another mom account. And they're using influencers to sell formula. And it's being kind of put across as like, oh, this is just another mom. And if you say anything about it, you're like shaming moms. So that's where we kind of has started talking about that and trying to take action instead of just yelling about it.
Right. That's how I've always felt about the mommy wars.
Yes.
I feel like that was just created by a formula company. Like if you talk about any of this, then you're just being, you're just shaming people, and it's like a silencer.
Yeah.
You can't, now you can't say anything now. And it's like, wait a minute, I'm not calling out moms. I'm calling out you. I'm calling out your company and your marketing practices as being predatory on parents in this extremely vulnerable time so that you can sell your product. Like, I'm not even talking about moms. This has nothing to do with the people that you've, that either choose to use the product or have been duped into using it. But of course they don't want that. They know these companies are just so brilliant. I mean, they know what they're doing.
Have you seen that one? It's an older commercial, and it's by, I think, Similac, and it was like the sisterhood of motherhood, and it was where they all went, and like there's the different groups of moms at the park, and then a baby carriage went into the road, and everyone
going down the hill.
Yes, everyone worked together to get it, and then like in the end, it's like, what's the most important? Let's not judge, that sort of thing.
Yep.
So when that sort of attitude came around, it was like the implication was that anyone who was like advocating for breastfeeding was judgmental and not empathetic. And I just feel like ever since that sort of attitude came on the scene, it's just been like kind of exploded. And like you said, it is kind of like a silencer. Whenever I talk about predatory formula marketing, I do get like, well, some moms can't breastfeed, which we know, but I would say there's much more people that could have breastfed, but
or wanted to and tried.
Yes,
And
wanted to, and were affected by this marketing than there is in the room of people that actually can't breastfeed. So that's why I talk about it. And, this whole implication that lactation consultants are shaming and judgmental, I think, like you said, was kind of just invented by the formula companies to like pit moms against each other. When really we should be going against these companies that are preying on moms, because it is like a very vulnerable spot to be in. Like you said, like I said, like when I'm with, a first time mom and your baby's not sleeping and you're just literally going to do anything. Like I bought so much stuff, like swaddles, and you would literally do anything. So if there's a can of formula that's like your baby's going to sleep longer, if you use this, like you're going to try it. And that combined with like misinformation about how breastfeeding works and the anti-co-sleeping stuff that your doctor will tell you, it was just kind of like a perfect storm for moms to just not be supported in breastfeeding.
We always try to make sure that parents know, like when we talk about it on the podcast, that it's not about shaming using the product. I mean, I used formula for a very short period of time. I know Abby did. It's more about the marketing. It's all about the marketing. It has nothing to do with the product itself. It's what they're doing with the marketing.
Yeah.
Totally.
And we have, there's the World Health Organization has the WHO code that regulates the formula marketing in order to support breastfeeding. And there are countries all over the world that like you don't see formula marketed. You don't see, they follow this. Or at least try to. I know that a lot of countries are capitalist oriented too, but the United States is just like, whatever, what rules? We don't care. You can't tell us what to do.
Yeah. So
crazy.
Yeah, we're one of the only countries that don't follow the WHO code. And so I think what we're seeing more often, tell me if you guys have seen like more of the smaller, like, so the old school formula companies, I feel like they have their contracts with the government and WIC, like they don't have to do so much of the influencer thing, but these other new companies,
I have noticed that
a lot of influencer marketing. So with Radical Moms Union, we organized a action against a formula company, Bobbie, who's,
I saw that. I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, we were going to ask you about that too. I can have you talk about it. Yeah.
Okay.
All about that.
Yeah. We can move into that now. So I noticed Bobbie formula. And when I first saw it, I was like, oh, this is cool. Because their talking point was like the European type formula. Because before, for moms who needed to use formula and like wanted to go the more natural route, I remember people saying like, these other European brands, and people would get it from like Germany and stuff and order it. And so when Bobbie first came on in 2021, they were like, we're the European, but you can get it in the US. I was like, oh, cool. But then they came out with an ad, the breastfeeding week in 2021 that said, how is feeding going, with the breast crossed out. And immediately just coming out of the gate, like attacking breastfeeding. And like I said, painting breastfeeding advocates as like judgmental. Because they had 4 individuals that would use formula, like the mom with cancer, the gay dad who used a surrogate. Those are like really extreme examples. Like no lactation consultant would ever like tell a mom with cancer, you're a bad mom for not breastfeeding. But that's their implication, right?
Yeah.
That's
like a couple, like if 2 dads had a baby, like, okay, well, come on. I mean,
yeah. So that was their plan right out of the gate. So it kind of like put a bad taste in my mouth, and it was like on World Breastfeeding Week. So that's kind of been their spiel from then on. They don't market against other formulas, which I saw in the beginning and thought, okay, cool. Like they're marketing themselves as better than other formulas. They market to breastfeeding moms directly that are struggling, because they know that breastfeeding moms want to feed their babies the best, right? So if Bobbie has organic ingredients and I don't even think their ingredients are any much that different than other formulas. Like you said, it's not even the formula.
I can't imagine they would be.
No, it's not the formula that's the issue, but they're positioning themselves as like that option for breastfeeding moms. And they really push the mental health thing. They talk about how breastfeeding is bad for your mental health and formula is the fix for your mental health, which is obviously an extremely nuanced issue. But I've talked about it before.
No research behind that.
Yeah. I've talked about all the research behind that on my podcast. Like there's actually the opposite. Breastfeeding is supposed to help mental health. And if it doesn't, it's because you're having problems. And if you're having problems, you need support and not formula, in my opinion.
Now, was this the company? I saw something and my phone is out of reach and I made a note about it in my phone, but I can't reach it right now. Was this the company? Oh, I can actually pull up my text messages. Was this the company that also there was something that somebody had sent me that they came out with this whole thing like breastfeeding, like, there was a study done that people who breastfeed don't have, it's like bad for your attention span.
What?
Or something. Oh my God, let me find it. I swear to God, I have it here. Here's
it
was like a thing.
One.
It was like I think it was like a message somebody sent me on Instagram and was like, check this out. And it was just like this thing where people were like, I'm sorry, I'm scrolling through my text messages.
Oh, that's a new one. I haven't heard of that.
It was just like this kind of post where it was like, oh yeah, this study shows that your attention is, oh God, I can't find it. Anyway.
Wouldn't be surprised.
I know. It was either, but I feel like it was Bobbie, but I don't want to, accuse them of something that they're not guilty of, but it sounds like they're guilty of plenty. So,
yeah. So on their blog is called Milk Drunk. So even their logo, I mean, think about it. Even their name, Bobbie, it's like a play on boobie. So they're right away like trying to market to breastfeeding moms as like, oh, if you're supplementing, we're going to use this, which we saw in the past. Companies would put that on their cans and the FDA would say, no, you can't do that. But they're kind of doing it covertly. They do a lot. So like I said, with the mental health thing, which we know is not supported by evidence, moms need actual support and plus there's other treatments for mental health. Like formula is not like a mental health treatment.
Right.
I take medication for anxiety and breastfed. Like you can take medications. Then the other thing they push a lot is combo feeding.
Now that was a thing, Dianne, didn't we talk about this because I was at Target one day and I saw this whole thing being marketed with like the combo feeding thing.
Yeah, because they're in bed with LV, the pump LV.
Yeah, they had a display at Target.
They're with them.
They had a display at Target. So the thing with combo feeding, as you know, is great. If you have low supply and you still want to provide breast milk, I think any amount of breast milk is great. But the thing is, they're selling combo feeding as convenient. You're going to get more sleep. You're going to let dad bond. All these are things formula companies have been saying for ages, okay, that are not true. So as you know, like when you give a bottle, if you want to keep your supply, you have to pump. So I think moms can be seduced into thinking, oh yeah, combo feeding, it's going to make things so much easier. And then they lose their supply and now they have to depend on the product. So I really think that's intentional on their part. Like I said, if, I have moms that combo feed because they have low supply and I help them get as much as they can. I think that's great. But I think when you're selling convenience and different, misinformation about combo feeding, and then the mom loses her supply and she wanted to breastfeed, like she had a goal of like 1 or 2 years and now she didn't hit that goal. I think that's where you get more like it's insidious marketing.
It's like Nestle all over again.
Yeah, totally. And
really,
speaking of that, they had a shortage. Bobbie did. So their marketing was so good They actually won an award for their marketing campaign.
Oh my God. The fact that exists.
It's called the Shorty Award. And their marketing is so good that they now have a shortage. And like, you can look all over their social media. Moms are like, I can't get this formula. What the heck? Like, I can't feed my baby. So it is sort of like Nestle 2.0, where they convinced all these moms.
What did you say the award was called?
It's called the Shorty Awards.
The Shorty?
Yep.
It's almost, and it's named after like creating a shortage of a product.
No, I think it might be like, that might be a reference to like ads, like short clips or something.
Oh.
But yeah. So
but it caused a shortage.
Anyway,
yes,
it did. Yeah, it caused the shortage.
So,
well, that's the thing too, is they get these, it's not a product like, that's just fun to have. Like, I really want this, pair of shoes, and they're really popular and they're out of stock, and darn it, hopefully they restock soon. I mean, they're getting people, their babies' lives are depending on this product. They get people hooked on it. They get parents hooked on it. They get baby hooked on it. And then there's a shortage or some sort of chemical, bacterial infection, recall, and then people are in a straight up serious emergency.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't. It's disgusting to me that that a formula company is sort of operating just the same way as any other company, like Nike.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Like here. I don't know. I feel like. Will you get an award for your marketing to get people hooked on your product? I mean, like, this is like, it's like cigarettes, or I mean,
it's like a product that affects.
I'm not saying formula is the same as cigarettes. I'm just saying it seems, like you're getting people kind of needing it. And then you're like, oh, celebration. Good for you.
Yeah. So that's why we wanted to try to take action against them in the online space with Radical Moms Union. My co-founder, Natasha, was a union organizer for 20 years.
Oh, nice.
So she knows how to get stuff done and make change. And we've got like dozens of moms from all over the world, different countries, and we've never met in person. We've never seen each other in person, but we organize to try to make change.
We will be right back with more from Andrea in just a moment. Today's episode is brought to you by Ceres Chill, a company that never stops making the lives of breastfeeding parents easier. Tons of expensive landfill plastic and short-term products are so yesterday. Created by a mom for moms, Ceres Chill knows how important every ounce of breast milk is. Their epic freezer storage system, the Milk Stash, is the solution to all freezer stash problems. No more leaking bags, wasted milk, or crammed, disorganized freezer spaces. The Milk Stash freezes milk in perfectly portioned 1/2 ounce cubes, so you can easily defrost the exact amount of milk you need for a bottle without wasting an entire bag. It's space-saving, easy to clean, and great for teething nets as well. The Milk Stash is FSA, HSA reimbursable and lasts a lifetime. Use it for frozen baby food purees, fruit-infused cubes, or Jell-O shots for the block party after your journey is over. This is truly breast milk storage reimagined. Head over to cereschill.com, that's CERESCHILL.com, or check them out on Instagram as well. Use code BADASS for 15% off of your purchase. And now back to Andrea.
If you want me to talk about some of the stuff we've done.
Yeah, I saw one of the things I saw a few of the things that you did, but one of them was creating like breastfeeding pictures with the hashtag Bobbie.
Yeah, backoffbobbie is our hashtag. And this was the second year of Breastfeeding Week that we did this. We did like a digital nursing, and we tagged Bobbie and also the investors that originally backed Bobbie in their startup, which is they're all men.
Weren't they all men?
Yep, they're all men, and they are different startups, like Silicon Valley startups. So like we just wanted to peel back the curtain of like, they're presenting as they're this mom, like like, we're just two moms making a formula company. But it's like, no, this is a formula corporation that is profiting off of you in this vulnerable state, not meeting your breastfeeding goals. And guess who wins when you don't meet your breastfeeding goals? These dudes.
Yes.
So we wanted to highlight and peel back the curtain of that. So we tagged like their personal accounts, those people that were on social media. And that's the second year we did that. Last year, I think we tagged like Laura Modi, who is the owner, the CEO of Bobbie. And we've definitely gotten some response from them. Like 2 days before we did the investor post, they posted on their account. 70% of investors at Bobbie are women. And then they had like their girl bosses like comment on the thing like, oh, I'm an investor. So they had like this investment group called the Mother Load. And like, yeah, there might be like however many women in it, but we're talking about the majority of the capital that started the company.
Of course. Yes.
Was like this $142 million that came from the male investors. So they want to like pretend and still show
of course.
their...
Yes, but we know what's up. Yeah. I mean,
so yeah, we've done that. We have also confronted some of their employees, like maybe the IBCLCs or the pediatricians that are partnering with them, and just kind of asking, hey, do you know this is like a World Health Code violation? And also it goes against the code of ethics if you're an IBCLC to like partner with a formula company. We've also kind of brought attention to the influencers that are peddling it. Like, hey, do you know this is like really predatory towards new moms and it shouldn't be advertised? So we've done that, and we're hoping that the CEO of Bobbie will apologize and stop trashing breastfeeding in their marketing. So that's kind of our strategic goal. We want them to stop talking about breastfeeding and combo feeding and market your product like I said in the beginning, like on the ingredients, or market it against other formulas.
Right. Now, I also saw, was there somebody, you or somebody confronting like formula executives in like a formula meeting?
Well, they have these educational Zooms, which we know is just marketing, right? It's like, oh, come to this meeting with this pediatrician, and it's just like kind of like Similac and Enfamil do their baby clubs. You know what I mean? Like where they have, it's just information, but it's really just like their marketing scheme. So like we ended up like crashing one of the meetings and kind of just saying our piece. And since then they kind of don't let you in if you're not like, if you don't have a subscription, and they don't let you unmute. They turn off the chat. So yeah, that's something that we did. But
that's I know, I love that.
Like we went in, there was this one with a pediatrician, Peds Doc Talk, who's a well-known online pediatrician who's partnering with them. And so we just kind of said, hey, do you know that this is like a code violation and it's not ethical? So yeah, we really harp on the code violations, the ethical, unethical nature of it. We don't, like I said, want to talk about formula versus breastfeeding or moms versus moms. It's totally all about, let's just stop this predatory marketing, please.
Yeah. And I mean, that's always going to be their response, right? Is to just say like, well, you're shaming people.
Yeah.
Because 100%. That always will just justify their actions.
Yeah, 100%. They always say that. But we know it's not about the personal choices of moms. So we kind of just focus more on the unethical nature of it. But yeah, we are, we've been in action now for 2 years. So hopefully we would love to get like Instagram to not allow the influencers to to take partnerships with formula companies, because I really do think it's affecting moms. Like, I'll have clients, like I had a client that say like, oh, I'm going to use Bobbie because it's good for working moms. Like, it's getting to people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that's what marketing does. That's why they won that award. I mean, that's what marketing has marketing has always influenced. I don't think people really understand how effective or how deeply rooted marketing goes. I mean, marketing can, especially formula I mean, just speaking of formula marketing, has completely altered cultural infant feeding norms in America. I mean, the fact that formula is so prominent and, we have all this misinformation out there about it is purely their marketing department.
Mm-hmm. I think it's that, and combined with just like the general lack of education, and then like from people's pediatricians, I hear a lot of false information, like that people are told, and you look up to your pediatrician to like be the authority on like what to do, but they don't have a lot of training.
Right. And the reason they don't have a lot of training is because formula companies are in with the medical curriculum. Just even like basically like creating this medical curriculum, they're not going to add breastfeeding information to it because that's not going to benefit them. So then your pediatrician doesn't know, and the general public doesn't know because it's not coming from the medical field at all, any kind of breastfeeding information, just the formula misinformation. And so we have a whole culture that's just based on information that's not true. Information that literally just sells a product. That's what we have as far as our education goes based on for breastfeeding and infant feeding in general.
Yeah, I mean, we still have like the formula reps going into pediatricians' offices. And, like, just like a pharma rep.
Well, and they come to you used to work in a peds office, Dianne.
Yeah. I worked in the peds office for several years, and the formula reps used to come in all the time. And I was there part-time, so I was only there in the morning. They would have newborns come in the morning, and the formula reps would often come in the afternoon. So I never actually saw one, but I remember them like leaving a note to talk to me or leaving a message that they wanted to talk to me. And I'm like, no, what do they want to talk to me about? There's nothing I have to say to them. It's against my ethics to talk to a formula rep. Like, that's unbelievable. But they just probably figured, they would just talk to me about the new formula that they had that would be good for supplementing or, no.
Here's a bunch of free samples.
Yeah.
Yeah. They had no idea. And even the pediatricians, I remember one time, like one of the pediatricians coming into me and being like, can you go talk to this family? They want to supplement at night with formula. And I'm like, no. Like, that's not my job.
What's your take on like the IBCLCs who are like partnering with these companies? Because I see, ones on social media who have taken an ad from whatever company, or like the ones that actually work for Bobbie. Like, isn't that supposed to be against the IBCLC, or do they not do?
Oh, absolutely. No, absolutely. If somebody reports them.
I don't understand how they still have their license. I mean, it's very public.
I know.
It's just nobody's, I guess, what is it?
Doing anything about it.
Yeah. And I'm so naive that I'm like, how could anybody do that? There's not really people doing that, right? But they are, like, and I've seen it too. And I'm just like, how can they do that? How can they sell out like that?
I would just be afraid of getting in trouble. Like, I mean,
right.
I would just be like, oh my God, no, I can't do that. That's against the rules. I'm going to get in trouble. I was just talking about this with my husband yesterday, who was just like, I don't want to, there's this part of the beach that you're not supposed to walk across. And I was like, but it's like, you can just walk right there. He's like, no, but what if somebody says something to me? Like, that's where I'm at. I'm like, how are you not even supposed to do that? And I wish that there was some ramifications for that. There should be. There's supposed to be.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think it's, again, like, if you question it, it's that other like silencing thing, like, oh, you're being judgmental. But you're so right when you say like the medical industry has such a long history with these deep-seated, old companies in our country. Like, they used to be way more intertwined, like the formula companies throwing parties and throwing luncheons and actually building entire nurseries, I read.
So designing hospitals. I remember reading that, designing hospitals so that the nursery is far away from where the recovery rooms are, so that it's less convenient for the parents to get to the baby.
Yeah.
And the formula companies would pay to have the building designed like that.
Yeah. And I just think with that history, it's hard to separate that. Like, what if you're a pediatrician that has gone through that, training that has that long history? I think that's why we get so much misinformation.
Absolutely.
Around breastfeeding.
Right. A pediatrician that has breastfeeding information is a pediatrician who somehow is able to realize what is going on and then pursue that breastfeeding information separately.
Right. That's the only time they get breastfeeding information is if they pursue it separately. And even then it's not a lot. They don't get a lot of information.
Right. But at that point they might just be like, oh, at this point you should see a lactation consultant.
Right.
Like this is beyond like what I can, here's a list of local lactation consultants, contact one, and they'll help you with that.
I think a lot of it might be like liability. Like they're like, oh shoot, this kid's not eating. Here's some formula so I don't get in trouble that this kid's starving. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And not knowing how to help.
Yeah.
With the breastfeeding piece. So then just recommending formula straight up. And and when we were talking about lactation consultants and partnering with formula companies, that has nothing to do with the fact that maybe you're breastfeeding and you're also supplementing with formula and you want to contact a lactation consultant so you can see if your baby's getting enough, maybe stop with the formula if that's what you want, or make sure that you're, doing it, the combo feeding properly. Like a lactation consultant is going to help you with your personal use of formula without judgment, without anything. They're going to hear your goals. They're going to work with you on that. That is separate from like actually partnering financially with a formula company and getting paid to like promote that particular brand.
Oh my God. Yes.
Which is a no-no, because we always try to make that clear. Like if you're using formula, if you're whatever, like, we have episodes on this, like supplementing and how to do it and how to stop if you want, how to make sure you're, using the right amount based on how much milk you're making or whatever. And like, you can get this help with using formula. But what we're talking about is like the business financial side of a lactation consultant just being bought out.
Mm-hmm.
For formula, but it's not even like I know that breastfeeding products as well, you're not supposed to be, aligned with any particular product, even one that is just simply focused on breastfeeding. But I mean, one that's just formula.
Well, when you're scrolling through like social media, I think that's why it gets so problematic, because when a new mom is scrolling through social media and she sees a particular influencer and one video is like her makeup routine and like, oh, I use this concealer. And then the next one's like, oh, I use this formula because we're combo feeding and this is how I do it. And even though it's like labeled ad or whatever, it's sometimes psychologically that person's going to take that information as like, oh, this is just like her recommending this concealer or her recommending, whatever, her protein powder. It's like no different in your mind.
No.
So I think that's where it gets kind of confusing. And we just want moms to be able to make those decisions without the influence of like a corporation that profits off of them.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I feel like it's even more now, especially like how you said way in the beginning about social media, is that we have this whole generation now of people who were born into social media, who grew up with social media, who it's just sort of a normal, you go to your school, or you go out in public, and then you also have your life online, and it's just another kind of aspect of your life. And so you see these things happening, and it doesn't, the line between like, this is someone posting about their life and advertisements now is becoming blurred.
Yeah, totally.
Because people are like, oh, this is just my normal life, but I'm also using this #ad, like it's becoming harder to tell. And these influencers, and I think what people don't want to know is that they're just paying their bills.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is how they're making money. It's like a new way of making money.
Right.
And yeah, that's worrisome, because social media now has become, and as we know, social media is the wild, wild west. I mean, there's very few regulations. There's very few rules and policing or monitoring or anything like that. And so people are just kind of on here saying whatever they want. And I mean, that goes for the internet too. That goes for Google. You Google things, and the first things that come up are things that are paid for. And sure, it's labeled sponsored real small, but whatever. It's the first top one. You're like, oh, this must be the most popular search, so that's probably good. And there's no, people aren't even, TV ended up being so extremely regulated on what people could and couldn't say, what kind of ads could be there, and all of that. Even in America, for American standards, it was pretty regulated. Sorry, I was distracted by Axley asking me if he can have a bin of tomatoes. And what was I talking? Oh, TV being so regulated for American standards. And now we have this whole new thing. People aren't even watching TV anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not even a thing. It's so rare when you have people just watching like straight up old TV. And people listening to me talk about this, if you're young enough, you're like, what are you talking about? Are you ancient? Like, like growing up with like watching commercials on TV. It's just like not a thing that happens anymore. It's just social media. People are on social media and the internet and these streaming services. And there's just no, like the regulating has not caught up at all to this. And so what you're seeing is just unregulated people saying whatever they want.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
people believing it.
There's regulations on like firearms and vapes on like Instagram. So also one of our other big goals was to maybe make Instagram say no more formula ads on Instagram, but that's like a big lofty goal.
That's huge.
Yeah.
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 That's what, I said that when I told my husband that we were doing this interview today with you, and he was like, oh, he's like, that's a really ballsy thing to try to take on the formula companies. I was like, yeah.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One of the things I always remembered, though, and I worked for Wix for a long time too as a peer counselor, and people thought that the formula they got from Wix was like the best formula that was out there. They're getting it from Wix. It's the best formula. Sure. And I used to be like, no, they're the ones that won the bid. Yeah. That's all. Yeah. It's not that they're the best one, or the ones that you get from the hospital must be the best one if I got from the hospital. Mm-hmm. No, they won the bid. Like there's no, like, this is the best one. And everybody believes that the one that they received from wherever, this must be the best formula for my baby because they said it is.
Yeah. No, they just had the best incentives to use.
Right. They had the best incentives. They won the bid.
They threw the best steak lunch.
Exactly. Exactly. It's just crazy. It really is.
And it's just so sad, because then it just, like anything else, it just puts, well, not like anything else. I mean, it just pits people against each other. I mean, and it is similar to like, well, I don't even want to bring, I was going to compare it to I mean, you brought up firearms, like, and how regulated that is. And people now, so you have these companies who are making so much money off of just regular people one-on-one arguing about it.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's not about them at all. It's not about, regulating anything. It's not about safety. It's not about whatever. It's just about people. And I'm not coming out one way or the other. I'm just saying it's all about people, just these companies benefiting from pitting people against each other. And this is what formula companies, how they get out of this. We already talked about this. So like how they get out of taking any accountability is just like, well, don't judge. You really shouldn't judge moms for doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
and it's a sad place.
The World Health Organization has brought this issue. They had a paper about influencers and marketing in the online space. So hopefully, it'll get more attention in the coming years and more rules. One can only hope.
Yeah.
Our goal is to kind of make these influencers think twice before partnering with Bobbie, because they're annoyed that I don't want these crazy lactivists coming and commenting on my stuff. This is just a headache. I'm going to go sell this tummy tea. I don't need this.
Yes.
So that's kind of our goal. So in the short term. And like I said, it's not really about their formula at all. It's probably just like any other formula. It's just their marketing.
Yeah, whatever.
Their marketing.
Yeah. And if it's whatever, if people want to choose a formula that they feel is healthier for their baby, then don't do it. That's great. That's why there's multiple companies. That's why people are allowed to come out and say, we made a formula that we really feel like it's better for babies and you should buy our product over their product.
Yeah.
But you can't go around saying oh, your baby's going to sleep better if you use my product. You really breastfeeding is going to cause you too many problems. It's ruining your mental health.
Yeah, your mental health would be better if you use
saying
Bobbie.
that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Just making stuff up.
Just making it up. Yeah.
They're just making things up.
What can we say to get somebody to stop breastfeeding? And they have people sitting around rooms.
Oh, yeah.
The most brilliant minds in the world sitting around rooms thinking of shit to say to make it so that people will stop.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's just really straight. Their mission is very clear. There's no black and white. It's just they want to make money and they want new customers. That's it.
They're very good at marketing. Obviously, they won an award.
It was a brilliant idea to market to breastfeeding parents.
Yeah,
honestly,
it is. Yeah,
it was brilliant. They probably figured, well, let's go the other route. Formula companies are marketing to parents that are feeding formula. Let's market to the breastfeeding families.
Yeah,
that's brilliant.
Yeah, because the people who are using formula are already probably on their brand. They're we like this brand. This is what we're doing. Let's get the people who are not using formula yet.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not going to probably be able to convince somebody to stop using Similac or Enfamil, some sort of really famous brand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But we've got a whole bunch of people who would love to hashtag backoffbobbie.
Yeah, if we did it on August 1st, but it's still August, it's still breastfeeding month. So go ahead and use the hashtag and a picture of yourself breastfeeding and say, please stop trashing breastfeeding in your marketing, Bobbie. And we'll add to the hashtag. I think it's got almost 1,000 pictures on it right now.
Oh, that's
fantastic.
We also really messed up their hashtag, which is bobbiepartner. If you go to the bobbiepartner hashtag, it's all of us.
Oh, that is fantastic.
So
yeah, I know. That's a really great idea of using your own hashtag, but then using theirs as well so that theirs gets drowned out.
Yeah, it's diluted for sure.
I love it. Yeah, that's fantastic.
That's a great idea.
Well, it's been so nice talking to you, Andrea.
Thank you so much.
I would love to continue to follow and see what happens.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Throughout August. Hopefully we can get this. What's the date?
Today, the 12th.
Oh, we can totally get this up before the end of August.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we'll do that. And then if you're listening, please post a picture of yourself, hashtag backoffbobbie, and we can flood the internets with that and try to demand that they stop trashing breastfeeding.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Well, and
thanks,
so tell us where people can follow you and your
like I said, I'm at Instinctual Mothering. And then Natasha, at radical_moms_union. I'll send you the links. And then our Substack is radicalmomsunion.substack.com. And that's where we kind of blog about different things too.
Great. Yes, I would love to read
Awesome.
about that. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.